You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Get those birds! Nerds! Nerds!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What? Are you kidding? We got some family here. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast, the official podcast of the Alamo Drafthouse, Winchester.
Welcome, everybody, to the It My Cast podcast. Joining us today is Lisa Gullickson, wife Dork.
If I made a list of things to do with your own two hands, stirring gumbo would not be on it.
Also joining us is Brad Gullickson, mouth Dork.
He used to be a big shot.
And I am your host, the Turtle Dork. Your life is so PG-13. And welcome to a new episode of the It My Cast podcast.
What's that quote from, Brian?
Crazy Stupid Love.
Oh, Crazy Stupid Love. All
That
right.
movie's great.
I loved it. I just watched it. I was over at my mother's house washing clothes and it was on cable. And my mother did not. She was like, what is this stupid movie? I was like, Ma, it's Crazy Stupid Love. I was like, you got it.
I love that you still take your laundry to your mom's house.
Yeah, I do.
That's so sweet. My mom is just looking for reasons for me to come over.
Oh,
Yeah, she would love
You
for
should.
me to
You
come
should
over.
use the laundry. You should use that excuse.
Brad does my laundry.
Oh, okay.
That's how he should. That's his love language.
That is true.
There you
Laundry
go.
love language.
There you go. There you go. So what's going on, everybody? How's everybody's weeks?
I feel like the wind has been kicked out of my sails by 2020.
Yeah.
We were talking about this before we hit record, but the three dorks that are here
Yeah.
had a very lackluster week and are feeling a little low.
I'm not feeling it.
And we were like,
feeling it.
oh, do we even want to record?
I know.
Darren's not here. We really need Darren to lift us up.
Well, going back to work after the holidays
It's
was
rough.
shocking.
Yeah.
I was really impressed with myself with how rested I was because I took that full 2 weeks off. So I was off until the Friday after New Year's.
And we had just gone to Minneapolis because of your grandmother's funeral.
That's right.
So we really didn't do anything for December
Like 3
but
weeks.
party
Yeah.
and go to a funeral.
Yeah, I think I came back and worked 2 days and then it was holiday time.
Yeah.
And because I'm a musician, there is a ton of work over the holidays, but it's you get it done and then it's done.
Yeah.
And then and so by Friday after New Year's, I was feeling optimistic. I had all of these great plans. I'm going to hit the ground running. I'm going to do more writing. I'm going
Yes.
to maybe exercise. And then I went back to my full week schedule and just had to be hit in the face with the reminder of nothing besides your outlook, nothing else
That's
has
just
changed.
changed.
You do not have time. The writing will never get done. The gym will never get hit. I will just continue to pay for the YMCA.
Keep hope alive, Lisa. Keep hope
yeah.
alive.
Yeah, 1 cent at a time. Every time you pay the YMCA, that is an act of hope.
I feel as a grown-up, you need... you're just not a grown-up if you don't have a gym membership.
Oh.
Yeah, because I have one that I've been paying $20 every month, and I haven't utilized in probably the last 6 months.
Right, but
So,
you need to keep that option open.
Yeah, you absolutely, you do.
Because, oh my gosh. Plus, who wants to make that phone call? They don't make it easy.
Once you
God,
stop
yeah.
paying that, you're
You're
just
just- What do I
despair.
do? Just cancel my debit card.
Yeah.
Just
Pretty-
go dark.
pretty
I'm
much.
sorry I have to leave the grid
Pretty
because I do
much.
not want to pay for my gym membership and I don't want to tell another adult who is fitter than me that I've given up on myself, on my mortal self.
I know, that's terrible.
Welcome to Weekend Dork.
Yeah. What about you, Brad? What about your week, this past week?
What we're saying. I feel a little sluggish. I feel that.
But you've been under the weather too.
Yeah, I've been under the weather. Under the weather. I went and got my flu shot and my tetanus shot on the same day.
Okay.
And it destroyed me for 48 hours.
That's the worst.
Well, that's the thing. Brad went into the doctor's office for like some kind of annoyance, a medical annoyance that has been bothering him for weeks.
And continues to bother me. I'm just going to say it right now. Like I've had like a constriction in my throat since the 1st of January. It's not like painful. I have zero pain, but it's just feels tight. Like my throat feels tight, and or maybe like we describe it like there's like just extra phlegm in there or something. Like my walls have like tightened or something. So after complaining about it for several days, Lisa's like, "You got to go to the doctor." And I hate going to the doctor. I put the fear in him. I hate going to the doctor.
He does, but the problem with that is he swoops in, and our general practitioner, we've been going to Kaiser Permanente. Okay. What? Thrive, people. We've been going to Kaiser Permanente since January of 2018 or 2017.
Since I quit retail.
Okay. And he's never seen Brad. Right. Our general practitioner.
Right. I've gone in for some emergency stuff.
He's gone into urgent care only. So Brad swoops in. The doctor's like, well, we have to get everything in now. Like, we have to do a blood test.
He straight up called me out on it. He's like, you don't like going to the doctor, do you?
Yeah.
No, I don't. And he laughed, and I laughed back. And he's like, well, you're due for a flu shot, so we're going to do that. And you're actually due for a tetanus shot, so we're going to do that.
Okay.
Let me look down your throat. Explain the thing. And I explained the thing, and he looked down, and he's like, no, you look fine.
You are suffering from an overactive imagination, and go fuck yourself.
He said, if it's continuing to bother you in a couple weeks, and I was like, well, I'm about to go away because Lisa and I are about to go to Sundance. And he's like, yeah, if it comes back, we can put like a scope down your throat if you want to. Okay. And I was like, I don't want to, but I want to feel better. Scary. Like I don't like feeling like there's a pecan in my throat 24/7 like it currently does as I'm talking to you. Gross. Yeah.
But then he has like this other thing. So faithful listeners.
Oh, Jesus, Lisa.
If you remember all the way back to our anniversary where we went to
Maine,
Bangor, Maine. Brad was bitten by like 9,000 mosquitoes and his lymph nodes flared up.
Yep.
And so he has one lymph node that is straight up not it hasn't flared down.
No. It did flare down, Lisa. It did flare down, and it fluctuates. But there are times when the lymph node is more pronounced than others. And when I was at the doctor's office, it was more pronounced. Like right now, I can feel it easily. You can always feel your lymph nodes, but this one, I can feel a little more than the others. Jesus Christ. And he's like, well, let's take a look at that. He didn't use the word concerning, but I heard the word concerning. Well, and then I heard the word cancer.
No.
In my imagination.
No, in his imagination, Dr. Menezes did not say the C word.
But he's like, let's get a CT scan of that and let's take some blood. So shot, tetanus, shot, flu, next day, draw blood work. And let's take a look at all that stuff. And then tomorrow morning at 8:30, I'm going to go back to the Kaiser Permanente building, and I'm going to get a CT scan. Okay. And then in a week, I'm going to be in Sundance, and I'm like, yo, the results are back. You do have cancer.
Stop. Don't say stop.
You should start a countdown, death clock.
No, don't.
And it's going to make me really hard to enjoy Downhill with Will Ferrell and Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
No.
I'll find a way.
I get it, because anytime you get blood drawn and you're waiting for results, depending on like what they're testing your blood for, it's always like, it's real nerve-wracking.
The AIDS cancer.
No. But I'm telling you, you'll come back, and it's like you say, you haven't been to the doctors in a while, so it's way overdue. That at least you're getting all this stuff done now.
Sure.
I
think it's gonna be a tremendous relief.
Yeah.
And they get back to you quick with that. If they find anything in your blood test, they get back to you right quick.
They do.
Even if it's Christmas Eve and you're unwrapping gifts with your family and they call you to tell you have HPV. That happened to me.
Oh, wow.
It was not fun.
Okay. All right. We're getting it all out here this week in Dork.
Hey,
that was so humiliating. And then I just had to thank you. And then I'm going to return to open gifts with my family. And I'm just going to process that. Everybody has it. You probably have it too.
99% of the populace has HPV.
Oh, yeah.
So do I.
You're not special, Lisa.
I just don't want anybody listening to this podcast and going, she has a dirty cooch once on.
Oh, my God. So 2020's great. Yeah. Hey, have you heard about Iran?
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah,
It could be worse. You could be Irish.
So the new decade is getting off to a great start.
Yeah. And we've cracked open, if you can't tell, a bottle of sake, and we've been passing the bottle around.
You don't want to get sake drunk though, because it's
sake.
fine.
You can't get sake drunk,
Oh,
Brian. Don't worry about it.
No.
Don't worry
I'll take
about
It is delicious. This is actually.
This was a Christmas gift.
It was a Christmas gift from my brother and my sister-in-law, and it's from North American Sake Brewery. So it's cultural appropriation, but it's delicious.
It is. It's really good.
It's really good. I'd like to drink it while I watch Isle of Dogs and Sucker Punch.
There you go. So let's get into our weeks in our weeks.
Are we not done?
No. Well, I'm not the king of the segues. I'm not good at the segues, so I'm just going to dive right in. So but 2020, we're here. It's been a little rough. It's been a bit of a bumpy road, but we'll find our footing. I think we will.
Dude, Darren says this all the time, but once Brian shows up, Darren wasn't going to go because Darren had to take care of his daughter. Sia needs her love. Darren's there with the love. So we miss out on Darren this week, which is a bummer. But when I love getting together with you and with Lisa and talking out our problems, talking out our geekdoms.
Yeah.
Our diagnoses.
And our self-diagnoses. These conversations are everything.
Yeah.
So,
I think he's got a stopped up saliva gland because sometimes because my dad had that, and sometimes he complains that his throat feels dry.
Well, what's weird is it doesn't always feel like the pecan's in there. Like when I wake up, I feel great, but then I have a cup of coffee, and then it my throat.
When you eat, is it?
Yeah, and for a while he thought it was.
Sometimes, I'll have salads and soups and all that stuff, and there's no issue, but it periodically reappears. So right now, it's very prominent.
So when you swallow, can you feel it?
Yeah, constant. Yeah.
You swallow. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway.
Wow.
How was your week in Dork, Lisa?
Brett briefly thought he was allergic to coffee, and so he stopped drinking coffee and had a migraine.
Oh.
Like the worst migraine of the last decade I had on Wednesday. So yes, I had a migraine this week. I had the tetanus. I had the flu shot.
But don't worry, I managed to just only think about myself all week.
Oh, and that was very challenging because all I did was bitch all week, as you can tell by the first 10 minutes of this podcast.
Like Darren says, don't self-diagnose yourself, Brad. Don't do that.
Oh, I love it. It's one of my favorite pastimes is diagnosing myself and others.
Oh my God. Lisa, how was your week in Dork?
My week in Dork was lackluster because of the pre-mentioned things. So I've got a small handful. Okay. I have about, if these were nuts, I have
just one nut.
This is an ounce of nuts. I've also been
Hitler's
listening.
worth of nut.
Anyway,
You had one nut.
I have just one nut. So New Year's, I always try to resurrect new good habits. So one of the habits I've started trying to do is reading before bed.
Yeah. Okay.
Initially, it was meant to be a substitute for looking at my phone, but now it's just a thing I do before I look at my phone before I go to bed.
Yeah.
But and I have already managed to finish 1.5 novels, and the first one was a recommendation from my mom.
Okay.
And it is Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman.
And you finished that one?
I finished this one.
Okay.
And if you look in the corner, it's from Reese Witherspoon's book club.
Oh.
So I actually listened to an interview that Reese Witherspoon did with Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend, which is a podcast that I super enjoy. And she talked about how, she is always reading books all of the time. And when she started producing movies, she wanted to look for more sources to find amazing stories. So she returned to where she's always enjoyed and harvested stories for herself, which is reading and getting galleys and that kind of thing. And the result of which is the movie Wild was a movie that was a book. She loved the book. It became a movie. It became a hit. And so she has her own Oprah-style book club, which is not at all what motivated my mom to pick this book. I think she literally was like hanging out with my sister, and she's like, I need something to drown out my sister, which would be her daughter. And so she got this book. And it's actually pretty cute. It's a British author. It takes place in Britishland. I forget the specific the specific city, but it's about this quirky girl who doesn't fit in the workplace, and she's particularly stodgy. And I had last year I had finished a book called The Rosie Project, which is a book about, I think also a British book, about this guy who is trying to find a life partner, but he is on the autism spectrum. So I thought it was another one of those. But this is more a story about trauma. She has this kind of, in her mind, pronounced scar on her face that relates to a terrible incident in her childhood. And so she's grown up in the equivalent of the foster system. Okay. And the way that she has survived was by being kind of a rule follower and being obsessed with what is right and proper and continuously judging others. And but she has no friends. And she makes a friend at work named Raymond. And through her interacting with Raymond, she starts to see the benefit of like having other people in her life. And it's like one of those where for the first half of the book, I was like, nothing really is happening. Like the entire plot is going on in her head. She's going, oh, I'm going to visit Raymond's mother and it's going to be awkward. And she goes there and it's fine. And oh, we got invited to this party. I'm going to this party. Oh, another large plot element is that she goes to a concert at the beginning of the book, and she sees this kind of indie band lead handsome man. She becomes obsessed with him. So she decides that her reason for being is to get this guy's attention, because she knows as soon as she gets his attention, he will fall in love with her. So, so she's kind of trying to get to this particular musician, meanwhile making a friend at work and blah, 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 unlocking this childhood trauma. So there's something that happens like, so I was going like, I want to read 20 pages at a time, 20 pages in the morning, 20 pages in the evening. And I was having no problem doing it with the first half of this book. And then something happens like smack in the middle of the book, and I just zipped through and I read the rest of the book.
Wow, really?
Because things started happening in the book. I would say if this was a film, and maybe it will be a film one day, though it is super vomity. So I don't know if I would necessarily want to watch this as a movie. But, you know, it's on Reese's book club. Reese's read it, so maybe she'll turn it into a movie. If I was going to give it like a 5-star rating on Letterboxd, I would say it's a solid 3. Okay. It's not like an amazing book, but it was nice and light and fluffy and a good way to start that New Year's resolution. Okay. And I have rolled right into, this is one of my favorite authors I discovered a couple of years ago, Matt Haig. And this is his book, The Possession of Mr. Cave. He wrote a book called The Humans that I super enjoyed. It was about this kind of amorphous, non-corporeal alien from outer space who possesses a family man who is in a deteriorating marriage, and in living amongst the humans, he finds empathy with them and decides that whatever planet he comes from, maybe they shouldn't destroy human beings. So he wrote that book. Possession of Mr. Cave is a book about this guy who his son dies before his eyes in a traumatic accident. And I'm only a third of the way through, but I have a strong intuition that Mr. Cave is going to become possessed by his dead son. That's what I suspect is going to happen. Okay. So I read those 2 books. How long have I talked? Have I filled my time?
I mean, you're good. Like you could keep talking, or you could keep, you could shut up. I
ended last week with Darren going like, "What are you looking forward to in life?" And that was the beginning of my bad week.
Because I was looking forward to in life?
Yeah. Well, you know how he always ends the podcast with like, what's on the radar for you for next week? And I was like, nothing. I look forward to nothing. Next week is a blank. I've watched all of Netflix. But thank God, a second season of Zumbo's Just Desserts has dropped on Netflix. This is an Australian baking competition show.
It's good. I like it.
That is
I'm a fan.
hosted
Okay.
by.
Lisa's
He was
made me a
watching it
fan.
today, and
Yeah.
we were talking at the screen. Adriano Zumbo, who is in the dessert world, kind of like a Willy Wonka type character, where he's just super imaginative.
Okay.
He uses a lot of molecular gastronomy. He likes to do gravity-defying cakes and mechanical cakes and all kinds of crazy. He uses the blast chiller a lot. That's something that you never see on Great British Bake Off. So with this particular show, what it is they'll have like one theme bake where like the last episode we watched, the theme was outer space. So they had to come up with like an outer space themed cake right off the
That episode was
dome.
so sad, Lisa.
It was so sad. What got your heart specifically? Oh, shit.
Come on, Lisa.
The Zumbo test. Okay, so first they do this test, and people make amazing things. People are making like entire like planets out of dessert and stuff.
They give you a theme of like, we want you to bake something that's out of this world.
yeah.
So like one chef made a alien egg that's sort of like a Ridley Scott alien egg, but looks more like a Critters egg for anybody who remembers Critters 2. And when it was like a chocolate shell, but when she cracks it open like a hard-boiled chocolate egg, there's like a yolk inside. I was so impressed by that
They
dessert.
were underwhelmed. The judges, Adriano and Rachel Koo, were not impressed.
And then
impressed.
Simon
was my favorite. He's our favorite because he went out of this world with his flavors. So he did like a cardamom.
But he was still making like a
cayenne
UFO
pepper.
like dessert, like a UFO shaped dessert.
But I think in terms of design, like his design was not that outstanding. There was the okay. So what they do is they do that themed dessert, and then one person is chose as like star baker of the week, and then the two bottom players have to do a head-to-head where one of them gets eliminated. So the bottom two were Zach, who decided what he was going to do for his out-of-this-world cake was employ some molecular gastronomy. So he made like a brain-shaped bowl, and then he filled it with gummy worms. And he made the gummy worms himself. It was literally the least appetizing looking thing.
It looked repulsive.
I like gummies. I do like gummies.
The amount of work that went into this dessert with how disproportionately gross looking it was heartbreaking. And then the other one, I forget her name.
I forget her name too.
But how she ended up in the Zumbo test is she made just a completely unremarkable dessert.
It had like a syrup that had popcorn flavor.
She was also trying to use molecular gastronomy, and she liquefied buttered popcorn. And she turned that into a syrup, which she poured over the rest of her dessert. No. Yeah, your face is correct, my friend.
Yeah.
It was really nasty.
Liquefied pop. Okay.
It was disgusting. And like, her design was like she just had a jar of the syrup, and then she had kind of bits and bobs on the plate that you pour the syrup across. It
was a garbage plate.
It was a garbage plate. Is what she made.
Okay.
So they did a head-to-head, and so they reveal Zumbo's dessert, and it arrives in this rocket. And at first, Brad
and they have to replicate. So like when they're selected as the worst bakers of the event, they then have to go head-to-head and replicate a Zumba's cake.
Yeah, so
Zumba is like the head dude.
Yeah.
And so it was a square cake that was balanced on one corner on a pile of moon rocks. So it was moon rocks.
Okay.
And then imagine like a dice.
But it's on the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you cut that open, and then there's layers of sponge. That's what they call cake on competition baking shows. They call them sponge.
Okay.
So there's layers of sponge, a black, and they're all black themed. So a black raspberry ganache, a black rice pudding, and I think there was a total of like 8 layers.
Oh my God. Sounds
When
so
they
complicated.
slice it open. Yeah. But they do have a packet with the recipe. So it's a matter of like following the recipe, and you have, I think, 3.5 hours. And so you really get to see people's time management skills because everybody's like, oh, I'm not going to let the timer get the best of me. And they go off with their pencil and they're checking off. And then by the end, they're just harried and they're throwing things together and they're just spraying the glitter paint and it just looks crazy. And so they're like, and they'll make an error early in the competition that they don't catch. And then you're just watching that one thing. So like Zach, instead of making his rice pudding in the style of a risotto, where you add the liquid slowly, he just threw all the liquid together. So that entire time you're like, oh,
so you know
Zachary,
that it's just going to turn into
that rice pudding is going to bite you in the ass, my friend.
But that's not the worst
but that it wasn't the worst of it. So so they're both making these cakes and they're both making errors, and it gets to the point.
Zach forgets to put sugar in his cake.
Yeah, Zach straight up forgets to put sugar in his cake. But that isn't even the most heartbreaking part.
No.
So they get to the point where they have to balance their cake on his corner.
And hers looks a little crappy.
Hers looks a little crappy, and she starts trying to balance it. And plus, like, so she starts trying to balance it on her moon rocks, and it doesn't work. So she's like, fuck it. I just have to lay it. I have to do it square. And so it's just like she does it on the wide side. And then she starts decorating. And Zach actually manages to get his standing on the corner.
Okay.
And so he gets it standing in the corner pretty early. So he has lots of time to spray and decorate. And hers looks like a fifth grade. I didn't start my diorama about Old Yeller early enough. And now my diorama looks like garbage. And his looks like exactly like Zumbo's. It's gorgeous. And
it's glitter painted, and he like Jackson Pollock some icing on it.
It's tasteful. It's not overdone.
It looks gorgeous. You're like, well, this dude's gonna destroy her.
Yeah, and so we're just, and she sees it too, and you can tell that she's got butterflies in her tum-tum looking over. And so they get to the timer, and it's all Willy Wonka's factory theme. So there's a huge factory clock, and they're like 10, 9, 8, and we get to 2, and Zachary's cake starts to crack.
Oh.
And Zachary's cake literally, as soon as they say 1, falls from the post and just breaks in half. And so the issue was,
oh my God,
his bread pudding did not set because he did not do it properly, and his one mistake. Well, 2 mistakes, because he forgot to put sugar on his cake.
Yeah.
And, literally, he starts crying. And then all the other bakers are sitting on the couch because they have to watch, and the star baker is sitting in a throne. And there's this one sweet little, perfect little Asian baker named Catherine, who looks like she just walked right out of Disco Dork's dreams. Let's be serious. Super cute. And she's crying. And I look over at Brad. I'm crying. We're all crying about this man's cake. And it is so...
It's brutal.
So heartbreaking.
It was so beautiful until it wasn't.
It's just like right when it gets to 1, that's when it decides to.
And it was funny because, when we watched several of these episodes early this morning, and when they present the test challenge to to Zumbo, they have to walk it from their desk to the thing. And I go, has anyone ever dropped anything before?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And then 10 minutes after I asked that question, this thing collapsed, which he might as well have just dropped it on the floor.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
He did not win.
He did not. He got eliminated. Though I think, when they were doing the evaluation, they didn't even bring up that it broke. They just were like, you didn't put sugar in your cake. That's the main thing.
Not only did it break, it also tastes like nothing.
Wow.
So, So I'm excited. So I have more episodes of that. I also watched John Mulaney's The Sack Lunch Bunch. I won't go into it. In terms of comedy, I was not laughing my ass off, but in terms of childhood, so do you know the theme of this?
I saw a trailer for it.
So it's his version of an 80s PBS show.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like.
Super resonates with me.
It's made for gifts. That's it.
Okay. And I know there's a bunch of celebrity appearances in that.
Jake Gyllenhaal's in it.
Okay, that's
he's
his
delightful.
bit's great because he plays the music man and he didn't at all prepare.
He's got the xylophone jacket.
He
it's
emotionally
really nice.
Yeah. The one that there was but he has this entire cast of children singers and dancers and actors,
Okay.
and they are amazing.
Okay.
They are such talented kids. And one of the kids is a grandchild of the Jackson family, which I found really fascinating.
Oh.
Yes. And there was one number that really resonated with me, and it was the crying white lady. Here's the thing: I saw a white lady standing in the street just sobbing, and I think about it once a week. That's the full name of the song. It's sung by Alexander Bello. The crying woman is played by Anna Lee Ashford, and I've been that crying white lady in public so many times.
You were
I was this week.
This weekend in that Starbucks.
Yeah.
I always feel like when Lisa, because Lisa was exhausted, and on Saturday
so
I had
because
driven her all around.
We had a little bit of a snow day on Tuesday,
Yeah.
which was good because
Yeah.
I could do all of my CBCC notes. I had to do all my notes about Rogue and Gambit, who have turned out to be tremendously popular. Who knew that 90s X-Men fans are like diehard? So that was good. But then I had to pop all of my Tuesday work to Saturday. So by Saturday, I was so tired and I had to work. And so Brad was like, I'll carry part of the load because I drive to my students. And so I'll drive you to your students. And so I was like, great. And so then we had like a 20-minute break in between two lessons, and I just had a full emotional breakdown in a Starbucks. Where I was, because I had ordered tea because I'm also trying to create more good habits.
Okay.
I want to cut down on the overall sugar that I eat. And so the way that they do the tea at Starbucks infuriates me, because what they do is they take 2 cups and they tuck the little paper part of the tea bag into the cup so that your tea bag doesn't sink into your tea. And then they put the lid on. But I don't want to drink tea with the tea bags in it. So then you have to take the lid off and then take the tea bags out.
Yeah.
And so I just lightly splashed my thumb with boiling hot water as I was trying to deal with the tea bag. And apparently, existentially, that was all I could take.
That's all, yeah.
And I just being lightly splashed with boiling hot water was just like waterworks.
I've been there. Like I said, sometimes it just takes that one thing to just set it right over the air, and then it's just like.
I think I quit. I think I quit my teaching job because I spilt my iced coffee at Pete's. I 1,000% think that was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, I literally just dropped the only good part of my day on the floor, and now I'm crying like a child in front of these people who probably make $7.50 an hour.
This is not the first time that Lisa and I have been in a Starbucks where she's been bawling, and I always like to think, like, what's everyone in the Starbucks thinking about me and her?
So
and
Brad's
I always
like,
want to go like, Lisa, we're through, we're done.
Yeah, he
divorcing. I need a divorce.
You should play that up one time just for laughs.
I tried to do
He tried
this
to
to get
start
laughs.
a little scene.
Lisa did.
I did not yes
want it. She didn't want
and.
it.
I woke up on the no but side.
Yeah. No, you got to try that, Lisa, one time.
I also watched Little Ray Howery's live at Crenshaw. It was quite good.
Is that on Netflix? That's a special?
That's an
It's
HBO special.
HBO, gotcha.
I wouldn't say like it was like a ha ha ha, lots of punchlines kind of special.
It builds on you though, right?
Okay.
Like he's doing characters
It's a lot
from
of
his
character
life,
work.
and like the first 20 minutes, I don't think I was really laughing. I was enjoying the story that he was telling, but I wasn't finding it funny. But then it gets to a certain point, and I was like, that's pretty funny. And then the back half of it, I'm dying.
Okay.
Like I really enjoyed the back half.
You eventually just like break the seal. Like once you start giggling, because I guess he's kind of slowly bringing you into his
into
world.
a narrative,
Yeah.
right? And so I bet you if we rewatched it, I would laugh from the beginning, now knowing the characters and the world.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I got turned on to that special because I listened to The Vulture has a stand-up, a really, really nerdy stand-up podcast called The Good One. And that was, I think, their like number 2 or number 3.
The stand-up is
special
actually shot by the same cinematographer who shoots Waves.
Oh,
And
really?
It's all done in like a gymnasium with this big glass window. And as he does his stand-up, the sun is setting. So it's daytime at the beginning of it, and you just get to watch the sun set over him.
That's cool.
And
Gorgeous.
he
That's cool.
opens
You
his
should watch it
special
just for that.
Okay,
with a
all
gospel choir singing the Black National Anthem, and then a step club, step routine.
Nice.
Step club.
I don't know. I am the white lady crying at Starbucks.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm just
right.
proud I could recognize the Black National
There
Anthem.
you go. It's all right.
But I would definitely recommend it. I
So
definitely recommend it.
that's everything I did between crying this week.
You did.
That's a pretty hefty week you had there, Lisa.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, that was a
Thank
really
you.
good.
If you guys want to hear the rest of my sexual history and any diseases I might have, you can ask me privately. I'm very open on a one-on-one basis.
There you go. DM Lisa. So just if you need any information or any advice out there, just DM her.
My God. Oh my God.
So Brad,
What's up?
What do you have for your weekend?
He
boy?
also had
What?
I was going to tell you his sexual history and what
Yeah, I sleep with this one, so I've got all the things she's got. Crabs out the wazoo.
You don't have. I don't have crabs.
Nothing but the clap for this guy.
Oh my
have
God.
Cancer AIDS. Don't forget about the cancer AIDS.
If anything.
Okay. My weekend dork was, well, shit, you know already. Lisa and I also watched, as we mentioned last week, we've been going through Humphrey Bogart's filmography and
Yes.
catching up on all the Bogart movies we haven't seen before.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you listened to our weekend dork last week, Brian.
We don't blame you if you
but
didn't.
we did talk about you.
Well, actually, I did. I don't normally listen to the episodes, but I did listen to the Fistful,
okay.
and I have to say that your assessment of my top five was correct.
Yeah, accurate, right? Yeah. But on the weekend dork, we talked about you because,
Okay.
you know, I was ragging on you about how you haven't watched any of those Hitchcock movies.
Yeah, I know.
But I have a box set that I've had longer than that Hitchcock box set that I have not watched. I've had it so long, it's when there was only DVDs.
Jesus.
So it's a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
Because at least this box set you haven't been watching is a Blu-ray.
It's a
box
Blu-ray,
set.
so yeah.
So it's my DVD collection of Humphrey Bogart movies.
Okay.
And one of my resolutions this year is like, we're going to finally watch all the Bogart movies in this box set that I haven't watched before. So we've been going through them. And
Like
for the
you do when you make a resolution, Brian.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're right. You're right.
and so Lisa and I've been watching them. We've enjoyed some more than others, but for the most part, they've been like 3-star movies. We watched a bona fide classic last night.
We really enjoyed ourselves.
And it's a film that I've known about and is talked about a lot. It's a 1939 film. 1939, of course, is the year of Gone with the Wind and Wizard of Oz,
yep.
the major classics, right? It's the Roaring Twenties, which is not a Bogart starring film. It's a Jimmy Cagney movie.
Okay.
But it's a movie that, you know, for whatever reason, I just haven't gotten to yet. And damn it, did I love this movie? I loved it. I loved it. I couldn't believe how much I enjoyed it. Jimmy Cagney, Humphrey Bogart, and the third guy. I'm going to call him
Gladys George?
maybe. It's the guy who plays Harvard, the college kid. The movie starts in 1918 during World War I in the trenches, which I didn't even know.
Wow.
So there's actually some really cool trench warfare stuff that opens this film.
Wow.
And the first scene in the movie is Jimmy Cagney running from mortar fire.
Gladys George is Panama Smith. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Panama Smith is a lady. And Jimmy Cagney jumps into a foxhole where Humphrey Bogart is also hiding. And so the two of them are hiding in this foxhole while bombs are going off around them, and they exchange cigarettes. Or they don't exchange cigarettes. One guy has a lighter, the other guy has the cigarettes. And so they're smoking in the foxhole. And then the third guy, Harvard, jumps in, the college boy. And the friendship forms in this foxhole.
In that, okay.
And like, I don't know, like the first 10 minutes of the movie is in World War I, not much.
Okay.
There's a scene in it though that's so good where they're like held up in a bombed out building and they're firing at the Germans, the Huns. And, you know, George, is it George? The Harvard guy? I think it's George.
George Meeker, is it Harold? Is he playing Harold?
Maybe. I'm just going to call him Harvard. He sees a kid, a German soldier in the distance, and he can't pull the trigger. And he goes like, that kid looks like he's 15 and he can't. And then Bogart raises his rifle, blasts him and goes, well, he ain't going to make 60.
Damn.
And you're like, damn. And then a guy comes in and goes like, the war's over. Armistice has happened. And you're just like, shit. So they just killed that 16-year-old for no
And they're
reason.
all clapping each
And they're
other
all
on
like,
the back.
you're all happy about it.
So Lloyd is the Harvard guy. He's played by Jeffrey Lynn.
Thank you, Jeffrey Lynn. And so they go back to the world, and Jimmy Cagney, he's the moral guy. He's the good guy. Bogart's
doesn't drink.
obviously the scumbag, and Harvard's the college kid. They go back to the world. They all try to make things work. Jimmy Cagney's having a lot of problems getting a job. He ends up working as a cabbie with his buddy. And he's accidentally arrested when one of his fares says, hey, take this package, go put it into that building. I'll give you another 5 cents, and I'm going to go deliver this package. Well, that package is alcohol, and it's during Prohibition. And he's arrested for delivering this alcohol to this speakeasy where Panama Smith is operating it. And you know, he gets railroaded. He does like 60 days in jail. He comes out. Now he can't get a job for multiple reasons. And he's like, well, I guess I'll just start running booze. And he becomes a bootlegger, and he makes a lot of money bootlegging. And he builds a little empire around this business. And he brings in Bogart, and he brings in Harvard. And it's like, I'm watching this movie, I'm going like, oh my God, the Roaring Twenties, it's Goodfellas.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like a gangster.
It is Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And, you know, Cagney starts off as this moral center, and you watch him become a total piece of shit.
Okay.
And by the end, you're like, somebody's got to kill this asshole. And somebody does end up killing that asshole. Spoilers. The movie's from 1939. You should have watched it already, even if I had not. And knowing that Cagney is killed at the end is not going to ruin your experience of watching this movie, because, like, it's awesome.
It's all of the cliches that you would expect, but considering when this movie came out, it has dibs on those cliches.
But the thing is like, I've always known who Cagney is, but I've never really watched Cagney movies. Lisa and I watched Yankee Doodle Dandy a few years ago.
And it was the worst.
We did not respond well to that at all.
It was so boring.
Yeah, I was not a fan of that. But now watching Roaring Twenties, I go, I get Cagney. I understand why people love him.
He's charismatic.
And it was cool to watch him play against Bogart, who at this point in 1939 was always playing the heavy, the bad dude. And he's playing the bad dude in this. Who you know ends up being maybe not as bad as Cagney by the end of the movie. I don't know. But now I'm like, well, why haven't I watched White Heat? I got to go watch White Heat, which is like the other big Cagney movie. So now on top of the Bogart marathons, I want to start up a Cagney one.
The only thing I knew about Cagney before Yankee Doodle Dandy, and I hardly even count that, and before Roaring Twenties, is the impressions I've seen of the "you dirty rat." Like Mickey Dolenz would do it all the time on the Monkees.
And is that even Cagney? I don't even know if that's Cagney.
You would see it in Looney Tunes. I think so.
You think it is? I don't know.
Oh yeah, Looney Tunes. Yeah, I think that's where I used to see it a lot.
Yeah, that's where I'd see it too.
Yeah.
But I loved the Roaring Twenties. It's my favorite of the Bogart discoveries we've done this year.
It seems like his arc is similar to like Pacino and Godfather. Something similar to that.
Yeah, I would say like you watch any gangster film,
Yeah.
Where it's that kind of rise and fall thing. It's Roaring Twenties.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
After watching this movie, Brad was like, we got to watch all of Scorsese's films now, including The Godfather, which I've never seen.
Well, which is not Scorsese, which is Coppola.
Whatever.
But what's cool about the Roaring Twenties is it starts out in 1918, and I think it goes to 1930, 1931.
Okay.
So you get the whole decade, and like at different chunks, an unseen narrator who sounds like a newsreel guy comes in and does like a montage. This is what's happening in 1922. This is what's happening in 1924. This is what's happening in 1928.
Okay.
And so you know, and then you Black Tuesday with the stock market crash, and that's really when Cagney's world gets turned upside down.
Okay. So you kind of know where all this stuff falls into place within that decade.
It was very compelling.
Okay.
I would highly recommend watching the Roaring Twenties.
Nice.
Yeah, but it's interesting to watch the Prohibition through the eyes of the gangster.
Well, not only that, the movie was made in 1939, right?
So it's not that far
it's
removed.
not that far removed from it.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of cool to see.
To see that perspective so close to that
right
decade.
before World War II happens, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
For America anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, highly recommend Roaring Twenties. What else have I been doing besides that?
You've been reading a lot of comics. We've been to a lot of comic book stores.
Well, Lisa's like, Brad's such a good husband. He drove me around on Saturday. The main reason I was driving Lisa around is because when she was in these lessons making money, I was spending her money by going to comic book stores, because we would go to a house and I would just pull up on Google and go like, what's the nearest comic book store? Then I'd go to that comic book store.
Nice.
And I found a really cool comic shop in Alexandria called Aftertime Comics. I had never gone there before. It's near King Street. It's right near that metro station.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's tiny. It's like this tiny little box building. There were 6 people in when I walked there, and we were shoulder to shoulder. But the dude had his place like stacked with old trade paperbacks, and he was selling them at cover price.
Nice.
So trade paperbacks now, if you're Marvel, like 6 issues cost you $27.99 right now. But 10 years ago it was $17.99, and so he's selling these old trade paperbacks for cover price, and I was like, oh, this is a pretty good deal. This is a pretty good deal. So I bought like a bunch of $10 trade paperbacks.
Nice.
I also I didn't buy this there, but I ordered it and had it. I ordered it a while back and it came out, so it arrived by Amazon. Thank you, Amazon. On Tuesday, it's the new collection of the Plain Janes, illustrated by Jim Rugg, who I'm obsessed with.
Okay.
He does the Cartoonist Kayfabe YouTube channel with Ed Piskor. I've talked about it a couple times on Weekend Dorks. Lisa and I went and met up with Jim Rugg.
He was doing a signing.
He was doing a signing.
We stood in line for Jim Rugg.
And we stood in line for Jim Rugg, and Jim Rugg ended up talking to us for like 25 minutes, which was really cool. But it's written by Cecil Castellucci, and she is beyond a comic book writer. She is also a novelist. She is a singer. She's a film director. But when you go to her like Wikipedia page, this is why I love Castellucci. The last line of her biography is Castellucci is a Star Trek fan, with her favorite series being Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
Sweet.
And her favorite character being Dax.
That's amazing.
What a great Wikipedia entry. So last night in bed, I read the first section of The Plain Janes, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's a YA graphic novel. It's about 5 girls in high school, all named Jane, who are kind of like the losers club, It, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And the main Jane, she's just moved to the suburbs from Metro City, which is basically New York City, where they had a 9/11-like event. And she was ground zero for it. Yeah. And it traumatized her. And so the graphic novel is about her coming to terms with that post-traumatic stress, and also being a high schooler, and trying to connect with the suburb life when all she's known as city life. And her parents are now terrified creatures because of 9/11, and that's why they got out of the city, because the city is on fire, right?
Okay.
And the 5 Janes form an organization called Plain, which is people loving art in neighborhoods. And they become kind of performance artists, where they go to a location, and let's say the first one is a strip mall that's being built, and they take all the rubble from the construction site and they build 3 pyramids, and they leave a note to whomever saying that the pyramids have lasted for thousands of years. How long will this strip mall last? Just calling attention to like, why do we need another strip mall? Very like high schooler ideas of social justice.
Okay.
And as they do these little art attacks, as they're called, the organization Plain becomes like a cult idea in this suburban community. And, the sheriff coming out and going like, whoever's doing this, you got to turn them in, because this is not how you do this, and blah, 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 blah. So it's very like high schoolery stuff, but I really enjoyed it. I really liked it. Okay. So I'm a third of the way through Plain Janes. I would recommend it. Jim Rugg's art is great. And Castellucci certainly understands the mind of a wannabe teenage artist that we all were. So that's my Weekend Dork. I think that's it. I think that's it.
I need to say you were watching the Roundtables variety.
Oh, he's been
not Variety,
devouring
Hollywood
those.
Reporter.
Hollywood Reporter.
Yeah.
I get that. We were talking about the actors on actors.
Yeah,
That's Variety.
that's Variety.
Hollywood Reporter, yeah.
Well, like the Oscar nominations are Monday morning.
Yes.
So I'm going to do my CT scan, and then I'm going to watch all the nominations.
Get on that.
And this time of year, it's award season, and so the Hollywood Reporter gathers actors and directors and puts them in a round table, and they have a moderator, and that moderator usually asks like an introductory question, and then suddenly all the actors are talking to each other.
Yeah.
It's an amazing setup.
I love it. I watch it every year.
And I've never watched it before until this year.
Really?
Yeah.
This is your first year?
First year watching it because I'm just like, what's this YouTube bullshit?
Oh, man, yeah.
Mistake.
Yeah, you've been missing out, man.
I have been missing out. And I've spent all morning waiting for Brian to show up. And the way I've waited for you is I've watched THR all day.
Yeah.
And it's been so entertaining and fascinating. And it feels like a privilege to watch these conversations.
It gives you a lot of insight, especially just into like the process and the perspective, whether you're watching like the directors roundtable or the actors roundtable. They have a producers roundtable that I think Charlize Theron was on. She was the only notable person that I can remember seeing, but they've had people like oh goodness, who's the lady from Sony? Amy
Pascal.
Amy
Kevin
Pascal.
Feige's done one.
Yeah, so they've had a lot of people on there.
The first one I watched was the Directors Roundtable from this year, where Scorsese was on it, and Greta Gerwig, Noah Baumbach. Oh my gosh, I can't pronounce his last name. The guy who directed City of God and the Two Popes.
Yeah, I remember he was on there.
And who was the other person?
It was the Sam Mendes.
Oh, Lulu Wang.
Yeah, Lulu was on there. Yeah,
And
I saw her segment where she was talking about branding and why she chose not to go on the Netflix.
What's so odd? So you haven't watched the whole table yet?
Not the whole thing.
So
I
it's
saw
like
the
an hour,
segments.
right?
Yeah.
So what's great about that is the conversation that happens right before Lulu kicks in.
Okay.
Because the way that conversation starts is the moderator wants to talk about Netflix, right?
Okay.
And the impact that streaming services have had on the industry.
Yeah.
And Scorsese says why it's a great thing. He was trying to get The Irishman made for 9 years. The movie cost $159 million. Like, no studio is going to do that because, let's be real, Irishman's not going to make his money back in the theaters.
No.
Only Netflix could have made that happen.
Yeah.
And good for Netflix and its billions of dollars. That it's $8 billion it's got to spend every year, or whatever ridiculous number it is.
Yeah, I know.
And so that's why we got The Irishman. Irishman's one of my favorite movies. Go listen to our Dorkies. It's a great film. So glad that happened. And he's talking about why it's great. And then, what's his name? Marsai? I'm such a bastard.
Two Popes director.
Two Popes director.
Yeah,
The City of
Don't
God
call
director.
yourself a bastard, because I said that Scorsese directed The Godfather just moments ago.
Yeah, well, you're a real son of a bitch. He's talking about why, he couldn't get the Two Popes made anywhere else, and da-da-da-da. And then Lulu Wang interrupts them.
Yeah.
And goes, look, I understand why you guys are talking about it, and that's great. But and Noah Baumbach's talking about why Marriage Stories works there and why the Meyerowitz Stories works there. But she says, and she's so right about it, that if she had accepted the paycheck of Netflix after Farewell premiered at Sundance in 2019, she would have gotten more money, but her film would have been buried.
Yeah, we got lost in the
because
shuffle.
she is no one. And Scorsese and Noah Baumbach, they can put their movies out there and get recognition because they've already built up their name. It's exciting when they have a new movie out. People are hungry for it. No one's hungry for a Lulu Wang movie.
No.
So she went with A24 because she knew if they were going to invest in it, they were going to boost her. They were going to promote her. They were going to get that movie out there.
Yep.
And the movie was going to be in theaters. Well, it could have tanked. It could have been in and out like so many other movies.
Yeah.
But luckily, the movie is kick-ass.
Yeah.
And people watched it, and it was in theaters for 4 months.
Yeah.
And it keeps the conversation going. and that just wouldn't have happened. I mean, look at.
You think about the other movie that premiered at Sundance, the Ted Bundy movie.
Yes.
That was there. And that it got released in May on Netflix. And with all accounts, a really good movie, but nobody's talking about it now.
Yeah.
And The Farewell could have been in that same boat.
Yeah, I was thinking about. Not Jeremy Saulnier. Well, actually, I mean, you could say Jeremy Saulnier's last film, right?
Yeah.
Into the Dark.
Hold the Dark.
Hold the Dark.
Yeah,
Hold the
yeah,
Dark.
Yeah.
You know, he's an amazing director. He does have a little bit of a brand.
Yeah, he's built his name a little bit.
But that movie came out and
nobody's
disappeared.
Yeah.
And is that movie as good as The Farewell? Probably. I'd say no. Yeah. But you know, it just disappears into the void of the streaming services.
Exactly.
And so many films do.
And Netflix is going to get behind those movies like An Irishman or A Marriage Story or Two Popes because they know that they can push those movies for award because ultimately Netflix is trying to get into
They're waiting
the
for
awards
their
game.
Best Picture Oscar,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
The question is, you know, there's money for The Irishman today.
Mm-hmm.
Is there money for The Irishman from Netflix in 10 years? Is Netflix going to be making those kind of risks? You know, or not risks? Are they going to be spending that kind of money? Can they afford
On
to do that?
credibility.
Yeah.
Like once
I don't know.
credibility becomes.
Yeah.
It's all interesting, and I don't have answers for everything, and I don't like judge one filmmaker over another for whatever choices they do. But I loved Lulu Wang going in there and going like, "Hey guys, I know you're like sucking the teat of Netflix right now, but this is why I didn't go with them."
Yeah, yeah.
And that was really cool to hear.
Yeah, yeah. And there's pros and cons to both sides of that. There's pros to going with Netflix, and there's cons. It's an ever changing landscape, and like you say, like we don't know where that's going to be 10 years from now. Just like how the landscapes of movies have been changing in the studio system from 10 years ago to where it is now. So it's always going to be evolving.
But to your point, the THR roundtables are awesome.
They're great
because you have a moderator who gives out like a so-so question or a good question.
Yeah.
And then everyone at the table, 10 minutes in, it just becomes a conversation.
Yeah.
And people are interrupting each other and contributing thoughts to and building thoughts on top of thoughts. And it's not red carpet, or DVD extra nonsense.
No,
it's not surface level jibber jabber.
And that's why I think I respond to it because you get past all the BS and you really get to like two talented, creative people talking about the process, and that's why I love about it.
And then like you get an actor roundtable where you have Tom Hanks,
Shia LaBeouf, Adam Sandler,
and Robert De Niro, and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
and like what all how they all bounce off of each other.
Yeah.
And you can tell like
and how they're fans of each other and watch each other's works.
Believe that he's sitting across from De Niro.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. It's awesome though, man. I love it. Love it.
So if you're not watching THR's roundtables, do yourself a favor and get on it. And you were saying, and I haven't done this yet, but Variety has the actor interviewing actor.
Yeah, the actors on actors, which is great. They do that every year. So this year they have a few that the one that really stood out to me was Laura Dern and Sterling K. Brown interview each other. Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans do one before Jojo Rabbit and Knives Out, and they've been in the MCU together. So there's a lot of great ones.
I think that's a neat idea, but I think truly the gold is 5 people around a table for an hour.
Yeah. I love it. I look forward to it every year.
Yeah. So I've watched like 5 hours of that today.
Nice. I need to catch up. Anything else you got for this week?
No, that's it, Brian. How was your weekend, Dork?
A little light, not as heavy as you guys.
I know
we
the
just talk a
Zumbo's
lot.
just desserts is some heavy lifting.
But I saw our review cast, which is going to be underwater. I saw that earlier today, Sunday, the day we're recording. Thursday night, I usually go check a movie out, and the new film Just Mercy came out, which was a limited release around Christmas time. And it finally had its wide release this past weekend. And this is directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who also did Short Term 12, which a lot of people regard as probably one of the best movies of the decade. I haven't seen Short Term 12.
I wouldn't go that far, but it's good.
Good, okay. And I think one of his co-stars in that film, Brie Larson, is in this movie as well.
And he's doing Shang-Chi.
Yes, and he's directing Shang-Chi, which gets me I'm super interested now after seeing, like I said, this is my first introduction to him as a filmmaker, but him telling the story of Brian Stevenson, who's a civil rights attorney. He went to Harvard, grew up in the Delaware area, and the events in this case that he takes with Jamie Foxx takes place around 86, 87, in the late 80s. So he goes down to Alabama because he wants to represent people who've been wrongly condemned and they're on death row. And so he goes down to Alabama to try to set up shop, and he's met with some resistance with the people in Alabama because it's Alabama, it's the South. And it's an incredible story. I didn't really have a lot of excitement or enthusiasm going into the film. I was definitely intrigued to check the movie out, but the trailers just really didn't make me eager to want to go and see this film. But I was like, okay, I like the cast and I like everybody involved, so I definitely want to check this out. And I gotta say, this movie surprised the hell out of me.
Oh, yeah?
It is a powerhouse of a film, and Michael B. Jordan and Jamie Foxx in the leads are great, but I think this movie, for me, comes down to the supporting cast. Supporting cast was phenomenal. Let me see here. Jamie Foxx's character, Walter McMillan. So he's wrongly accused of a murder of a white lady that happens like in this dry cleaners. And so they pick him up, they take him on death row, and he's in a cell. And so he has a cell, and the people to his left and the right of his cell are Rob Morgan, the actor Rob Morgan, who plays Herbert Richardson, and O'Shea Jackson Jr.
I didn't even know he was in that.
Yeah. He plays another inmate on death row, Anthony Ray Hinton. And so they kind of have this relationship kind of being like cellmates next to each other. And there's a sequence in this movie where Michael B. Jordan's character, Brian Stevenson, he's trying to put in a motion to stay because Herbert Richardson, he got his date to go to be executed. And this is being executed through the electric chair. So he got his date, and so Brian Stevenson puts in a motion to stay to try to extend it so they don't, so he doesn't get executed, and his motion gets denied. And the sequence where he has to take the walk and it leading up to his execution, my God, that theater, I don't think there was a dry eye in the house. That was a powerful sequence, and it hinges on the performance of Rob Morgan. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Rob Morgan. He was in those Marvel Netflix series. He played oh God, he was like the one character that like
he played Turk. Oh man, Turk, huge from the Daredevil comics. Yeah.
Okay.
And he's good in the Netflix things.
Yeah. So his performance in this sequence.
Oh, dude, and he's Hap Jackson in Mudbound.
Mudbound, that's right. Mudbound as well. Yeah. He is phenomenal, man. He is phenomenal. That sequence was just it was sad, it was heartbreaking, but it was moving, and I can't say enough about that. Again, this movie just speaks to the whole idea of just the death penalty and, people wrongly accused and being on death row, and it kind of plays through a lot of some of the familiar conventions and tropes that we see in those type of movies. I guess that would be my only main criticism, is that it does feel a bit predictable, but I still think the execution of
pun intended.
Yeah, well, yeah, yeah. I think, but yeah, you're right. The execution of the material is just it's hitting on all cylinders, man. And I have to give a lot of props to the actors and to the direction.
So, would you put this back into your dorkies? Would this upset your top 10?
I think it probably would, because I gave for me I gave it 4 stars, and if it wouldn't be in my top 10, it would be like around like 11, 12, 13, but. I think it would be. I think it would be.
To it.
Yeah, I definitely would love to see what you thought of this film. Performances are great. Like I said, Michael B. Jordan. I like him as an actor, but he sometimes he could kind of fall into not really. I don't want to say like he's not really like playing a character, but he just has such a recognizable face. Where I don't want to say he's like a personality actor, but it's like you recognize him when you see him on screen. It's like it's hard for him to kind of hide or camouflage himself within the character. But him playing Bryan Stevenson, man, you really see a lot of the nuances in the performance.
And how's Jamie Foxx?
Jamie Foxx is amazing. He is really good. Just even with the southern twang of his accent, just his performance and how it's really good.
Jamie Foxx is obviously a recognizable actor too, but I feel like he enjoys disappearing a little more into roles.
Yeah.
And just based on what I've seen on the trailer, it seems like he's doing a lot of exterior work as well as interior work.
Yeah, he really is. He's doing a lot, and I was really moved by his performance. But I gotta say, Rob Morgan, man, that sequence, whew, man, powerful. Right. That's mainly what I have for my weekend dork. Like I said, I mentioned I watched Crazy Stupid Love. Yeah, saw that on cable.
So fun.
Yeah, man, Ryan Gosling doesn't get enough credit for how good of a comedic actor. Between that, The Nice Guys,
Only God
and how
forgives.
dreamy he is.
Yeah, he is dreamy. That's a comedy?
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Okay.
Him and his mom, hijinks.
So saw the Golden Globes.
Did you?
Yeah.
I did not bother.
Yeah, it was Ricky Gervais. Just I liked it. I thought I like seeing him kind of give it to Hollywood a little bit. It's kind of fun, but he's done it 5 times before.
I can't handle it. I like Ricky Gervais in small doses.
Me too. He could be a little bit much.
I loved, obviously The Office and Extras and all that stuff.
Yeah. So that's pretty much my weekend dork. I'll end it there. I guess when we return from the break, we are going to talk about the new film Underwater starring.
I didn't see it.
You didn't see it?
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay. So do you want to dip out or you want to stick around?
I think I'll dip out.
Okay.
Dip out? You're going to dip out on us? You're just going to leave it to B&B show?
I still want to see the movie.
Oh,
so
you don't want us to spoil it? Because we're going to spoil.
Okay. Yeah. This will be spoiler heavy. So when we return from the break, the new film starring Kristen Stewart, Vincent Cassel, Jessica Henwick is in this as well. TJ Miller's in this. So we're going to go break down Underwater when we return from the break. So we will be back.
Get out of here, Lisa.
Here I go.
Hey, this is Liz from People I Think Are Cool, a bi-weekly podcast where I interview my favorite creatives from across the globe. If you're looking for a dose of creative inspiration, then go to peopleithinkarecool.com or subscribe to People I Think Are Cool on iTunes and Stitcher.
You like film, from cult to classic, from blockbuster to B-movies, and there just isn't that one place with all the fan fervor and passion that's covering the kind of mad, diverse brilliance that you love.
Well, that's where you're wrong.
AfterMovieDiner.com is that fan-built movie nirvana just for you, featuring the sweet writings of the wife dork herself. AfterMovieDiner.com. Go there, be the best you can be.
And we're back. And so this week we are looking at the new film. This film is Underwater, starring Kristen Stewart, Vincent Cassel, Jessica Henwick, John Gallagher Jr., Mamadou Athey. and T.J. Miller. Underwater. This is January release. It looked good though. I like the trailer, and I was like, okay, a lot of people give January some shit. I'm gonna defend January because my most anticipated movie comes out next week, so I'm defending January.
I love January releases.
Okay.
Even before they started just to pepper blockbusters during every month of the year, including Bad Boys for Life. But like we talked about The Grudge last week. While I didn't love The Grudge, I was really looking forward to The Grudge. I was really looking forward to Underwater. Underwater is directed by William Eubank.
Yeah.
He directed The Signal, which is one of my favorite recent sci-fi movies.
Yeah, and speaking of The Signal, when this podcast was birthed, one of the inaugural episodes.
Yeah, well, it was definitely the first interview we ever did.
Yeah, you guys interviewed the writer of The Signal, which William Eubank directed.
Yep, David Frigario.
Yeah, so we have a bit of a connection to this film.
We love Kristen Stewart, right?
Oh,
so
absolutely.
Kristen Stewart's doing some, sea monster movie.
Yeah.
Sign me up. I was sold by the trailer.
Me too, man. I really dug the trailer. And remembering seeing The Signal and then seeing this trailer in theaters, I could see a little bit of that visual flair that William Eubank has, especially the way he uses slow motion. And so I was like, oh, okay, I could kind of see.
They feel like the same dude made them.
Exactly.
Made them.
Which is great. I love seeing a particular visual style like between directors through their filmography, and it feels like you could kind of see a little bit of that in this movie. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into our discussion. So it's just going to be me and Brad. So
the B&B show.
Yeah, it's the B&B show again, man. It's been a while.
It's been a while. Lost Weekend 5?
Yeah, man. Yeah. So this should be a fun one. So yeah, I'm going to give you a little bit of a synopsis, then we're going to go ahead and break this down into the good, the bad, and the ugly. Underwater, a crew of aquatic researchers work to get to safety after an earthquake devastates their subterranean laboratory. But the crew has more than the ocean seabed to fear. So there's a little bit more to this than just an earthquake at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
Did you see Cutterhead?
No, I haven't.
That was at the last weekend. It's about it's about a drill machine.
Okay.
That is I don't know about many miles. It's deep in the earth, and it breaks down, and a woman has to escape the mechanics and the natural surroundings of this disaster.
Okay.
So I thought a lot about Cutterhead while watching Underwater. Also.
That was at Lost Weekend?
Yeah, it was a couple years ago or a year ago.
Man, that must have been one I missed.
It was a midnight movie, very intense film. If you haven't seen Cutterhead, you should check it out, Brian.
Okay, I'll look for that. That hasn't been one I missed because I don't even remember that title. Okay, all right. Sorry, Andy.
I like my description. What was she trapped in? It was a drill machine.
All right, let's go ahead and get into this. We'll start with you, Brad. So let me see what's some of the good that you actually liked about Underwater.
Well, the cast certainly,
absolutely.
Kristen Stewart is fantastic as always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I liked Henwick a lot in the film too.
Jessica Henwick, yeah.
Vincent Cassel is a great captain.
Really is.
Yeah, and like T.J. Miller, he may or may not be a scumbag. He's kind of been canceled. This is one of the last things he's made before he was canceled.
Okay, so this is before all that came out?
I think so.
Gotcha.
I would assume so.
Gotcha.
But he's enjoyable in the film too. Like they all work together well.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie is very much going for the vibe of the Nostromo crew from Ridley Scott's Alien.
I got an Alien vibe from that as well too.
I don't know if they're, I was going to say, I don't know if they're as good as that crew. They're not as good as that crew. That would be very hard to replicate, especially in my mind. So I think the blue collar bastards of the Nostromo it's one of the best casts ever assembled as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
This crew feels more at home alongside the wannabe Nostromo crews of Deep Star 6 and Leviathan.
Okay.
But that is a high compliment because I love the wannabe aliens of Leviathan and Deep Star 6 and the crews involved. I think they all work really well together. I think one of the great pleasures of Underwater is how the movie starts immediately.
I love that. Love that.
Kristen Stewart's character, Nora Price, the mechanical engineer, is getting either done for the day, I want to say, or she's getting ready to wake up for the day, but she's brushing her teeth in the bathroom. When this earthquake hits, you're like 2 minutes, 3 minutes into the movie.
Right in.
And, the walls are exploding.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I love how they just drop and it starts immediately. And then also just the idea of where this movie takes place. I can't really even picture this movie starting any other way instead of just putting you right into the middle of the action.
That's how the trailer starts?
Yeah.
Because that's how the trailer starts, I assume there'd just be all this exposition nonsense in the beginning.
Yeah.
Which I'm so glad we left that on the cutting room floor, or it was never intended. I love that. Love it.
Yeah.
And how, she meets up with, what's the actor who's the first guy?
I think Mamadou Athie.
Yeah,
he doesn't, at least on IMDb, it doesn't show a name for him.
I was unfamiliar with him, but he is great. And it's the two of them early on navigating the disaster immediately. So for the first 10 minutes before they find the captain, it's the two of them. They have to make a hard choice in the beginning of... we've said that this is going to be all full spoilers.
Oh, right? Yeah, absolutely. It's full spoilers.
Yeah, so they have to close a corridor, effectively sealing off.
Yeah, any other possible survivors.
Right?
Yeah,
and so that means they had to make a choice between themselves and these other two individuals, and I liked all of that.
Yeah.
And so you get 20, 30 minutes before the supernatural monstery elements come in?
Pretty much. Because we don't really see that until, and there's a lot, and I guess we'll get into some of the bad, but when TJ Miller and what's the other gentleman?
John
Gallagher Jr., they have to go out into the water because I think one of the pods, they see there could be another survivor out there.
Right.
And they bring back, I guess, what could have...
a face hugger, like a baby sea monster.
Pretty much. Yeah. And that's kind of what kind of begins some of the supernatural elements that we start to see in the movie.
Right. So, I like the lead-in. I just like the whole structure of the story.
Yeah.
I think it plays out really well. They gather the last survivors. They gather the captain. They go okay, what are we going to do? Well, this is our plan. All the escape pods here are gone. So we need to get to the next station. We got to get to the Roebuck station.
Yes.
And to get to the Roebuck station, that means we have to don these Deep Star 6 suits and walk the ocean floor.
Yeah. So they have to take, I guess, one of the transports or something to another area.
An elevator to another area.
Yeah. But they got to get to a point where eventually they're going to have to walk a mile to get to the Roebuck station where the drill is, because I guess there's more pods there that they could then take up to the surface.
Right.
So Vincent Cassell comes up with this plan that's okay, and it's a stupid plan, but it's the only one that they have. So
you either drown now or drown later.
There you go.
And there's just something so terrifying about having this suit and this tiny jar of oxygen. And that tiny jar of oxygen is going to have to last you this whole movie.
Absolutely.
And it's different than a spacewalk film, right?
Okay.
It's different than the void of space, and even though you have the same kind of problems, the void of the ocean and the pressure of the water, for me, gives me even more anxiety than if this was a space mission.
And I love and speaking to William Eubank, I love the way he directs this, not just with how he uses slow motion and stuff like that, but this is one of my goods as well, is the way he's able to build the claustrophobia of the film.
Yeah.
Being inside of the helmet.
Yeah, planting that camera right there.
Yeah, and getting into the headspace of these characters, of these actors, when they're walking across the seabed at the bottom of the ocean. It really even the sequence when after they rescue TJ Miller and they have to crawl underneath that really enclosed area where they found the dead body. The way he shoots that, just how claustrophobic all that stuff feels. Like you said, it just builds on that anxiety that it gives you. I love that.
There's lots of directorial flourishes I like. There's also some directorial flourishes I don't like.
Yeah,
we'll talk about that in the bad.
Same.
But it has one of the best transitions I've ever seen in a movie, and it is after the moment where T.J. Miller and John Gallagher Jr. find the pod that had the signal, and then it turns out that something, a sea monster, had torn it apart and scooped out the guy inside.
Yeah.
They find the corpse, and something is inside the corpse eating it.
Oh.
And then they pull that thing, or no, they don't pull it out. It comes out, and John Gallagher's got a nail gun.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the stupidest lines in the movie. They're going across the ocean floor. They have not encountered any monster yet, but John Gallagher Jr. is like, he's looking at this workbench where there's a nail gun, and he grabs it. He goes like, just in case.
Yeah.
And I wish he had said like, well, there's sharks and shit out there.
Yeah.
If he said sharks and shit, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'd want a nail gun in case sharks and shit, like if a giant squid comes out. But he says like, you never know what you're going to encounter.
Yeah.
I was like, well, don't phrase it that way.
Yeah.
Like, don't assume there's monsters. I don't know. Something, his line reading and the way that sentence was written, that dialogue was written, didn't work.
Yeah.
But he grabs the nail gun. Good thing. There's a sea monster in that corpse. He has the nail gun. He blasts it. And then when he blasts it, the screen goes bright white.
Yeah.
And then it's a weird effect because you're not sure like exactly what you're seeing.
Yeah.
But from frame left, this sea creature, this prosthetic, fleshy, like skin color, like fleshy thing, slaps onto the white screen, and the white screen is actually like a table.
The table.
And that is an awesome transition.
It was. It caught me off guard because I didn't know.
Like what's happening?
I was like, what the hell's going on? Because I didn't know because any time you see movies like this, you're always trying to anticipate who's going to be the next to go. And I thought, and they surprised me a little bit.
They also disappointed me a little bit.
Yeah,
too.
I didn't think John Gallagher was going to survive. Spoiler alert. I didn't think him and Jessica Henwick were going to be the two survivors. So I thought, like, at that moment where we see the white flash, I was like, oh, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone. Especially the way they set it up with him starting to lose his oxygen. So I was like, nah, he's a goner, man. And it's like, all right, he doesn't serve the plot, so he can easily be
T.J. Miller's got to go because he's like the annoying, jackass.
I didn't know if he was going to go that soon, that quick, but I kind of figured that. I kind of figured that.
The Henwick and Gallagher thing was a surprise. We're going to get to that in my ugly also.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Tease there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's
any more goods you got?
My final good is, you're slowly revealed to these creatures. The first creature you see is this baby little squiddy thing, and then you see the creature from the Black Lagoon looking things. I loved when they get to the end and they finally get to the Roebuck station, and there's this whole coven or school of these creature from the Black Lagoon things.
Yeah.
And one wakes up and tries to swallow Kristen Stewart whole.
That was kind of awesome.
And she pulls out the flare gun and blasts
shoots through it. Yeah.
That was awesome.
I love that.
And my mind was flabbergasted when we met Mama Sea Creature.
Yeah. This movie shocked me because, I mean, again, like when I watch a lot of these movies, and I know sometimes Disco Dork, he'll say, "Oh man, you didn't see that coming," or "Man, I
did not see this coming."
Like I don't. So a lot of times when I watch movies, especially like this, I don't really go in trying to
you like
look
to
for
give
certain
yourself
things.
to the film. You're not a speculator. We've talked about this on this podcast.
That's true. That's very true. So a lot of these
That's
reveals.
Healthy, sir.
Thank you. A lot of these reveals and a lot of these kills, especially how horrific and gory they were, like I was in there like, holy shit. they surprised me, which I appreciate and I really enjoyed. I enjoyed that experience of watching.
But how about when that big beast shows up? This Lovecraftian Kraken.
I really didn't expect that because I thought we were just going to get like the regular like the Black Lagoon monsters, and that would have been it. But thinking about the movie in retrospect, it kind of feels like it is leading to that. But I didn't expect that while watching it.
And then that design is
awesome.
So great.
It is so awesome, man. You know what it kind of felt like leading into this movie? I felt like they could have positioned this as kind of like a Cloverfield movie. And I kind of thought that they would have done something like that. But I'm kind
It
of
would
glad.
have been a better Cloverfield movie than the last Cloverfield
you're
movie.
right. You're right about that, man. You're right about that. So those are our good. Those are mostly my good as well. I love the opening. I love some of the visual aesthetics. I love the claustrophobic nature of it. So we talked a lot about that. So let's get into some of the bad. So we'll start with you, Brad. What were some of the things that didn't work for you in the movie?
Well, talking about the directorial flourishes that didn't quite work for me, I thought some of the underwater action when the Black Lagoon creatures attack the remaining group on the ocean floor.
It's way too.
I could not track the geography of the scene.
So disoriented.
And when Kristen Stewart and Vince Cassell get pulled up onto that underwater antenna thing,
Something. And when right before he gets killed.
well, I didn't even realize that was Kristen Stewart. That got up there.
I didn't even know how they got separated from Jessica Henwick and
John Gallagher Jr. I found it very confusing.
And I was like, did they die already? And I know like some may argue that the disorientation of that is really putting you into those characters and how they're seeing and being in that moment. But as an audience member seeing this, it just feels like you're not letting us know where people are, what's happening, who lives, who dies.
Because the moment they go into that that like tiny cave or that long tunnel cave, where John Gallagher Jr. gets pulled down, the moment they're all there, I don't know who is who. And because everyone's screaming and stuff, I can't even hear what they're saying. I literally, who is in that tunnel still? Who is up there? Who's being dragged over there? And then at the end of that action scene, you realize it's Vince Cassell and Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
I was like, I was very confused.
Yeah, I didn't know because John Gallagher, he's passed out because he doesn't have any oxygen
His
left.
oxygen was corrupted and it was like pumping CO2 or something.
Yeah. So they're dragged, and then like he gets pulled away, and then they have to go into like this little cave where he got. And I was like, when did he get pulled? Like I literally didn't know what was happening. When they were out there in the water, at the bottom of the ocean.
So when William Eubank is doing slow-mo action, high five.
Oh yeah, love it.
When he's doing speed, speed cranked action, I don't know how to describe that. Normal action, I just couldn't track it.
No, I couldn't, and it really kind of goes to just that specific sequence because I enjoy, like you say, when you have like the Black Lagoon. I'm just gonna call them the Black Lagoon monsters that are kind of sleep above them as they're trying to walk down that corridor. Like I love that whole sequence. I thought that was great.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
At the end, when they find that coven of Black Lagoon creatures and they have to slowly walk through them, like what a bad choice that is, decision. I mean, they had no other option, I guess. That roof is lifted up.
Yeah.
So is that... Was that the bottom of the creature, or was that a structure?
That was a structure
that was lifted.
Yeah, that was a structure that I think that they were resting like underneath it,
and then the creature lifted
and then
the
that
structure.
Creature lifted that structure up.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I was confused on that also.
Okay. Yeah. That was the one thing that I did see because when it lifted up, I was like, oh, okay. So they're kind of like built some type of cocoon or something, and they're just kind of resting right underneath like this little trailer thing or whatever it is, and then that larger creature lifts that up. So I thought that was kind of cool, but yeah, that could be a little confusing. I don't know. I'm trying to think anything else that I really that was one of the main issues that I had was just some of the disorientation, the geography of some of the action within that specific.
Disorientation's a good word. That's like the disorientation of the action.
Yeah, the geography of all that stuff right in that middle section. The comedy doesn't really work for me. I know they bring T.J. Miller in for a lot of the comedy, especially in the first act of it.
I was really surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of what we know about T.J. Miller, and I'm not going to speculate, I mean, I like him as a performer. I like him as an actor. And I think that he does work within the dynamic of the group. It's just like some of the moments that it just seems like they're trying to go for those laughs. I was just like, yeah, all right.
Like the rabbit thing, he's got this little bunny thing. I don't know, it all worked for me.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's cool. What'd you think of maybe that's some of the ugly, so I'll wait to get to that. But anything else you have for the bad that didn't work for you?
I don't think so. No.
Not really?
I love the end creature so much. And we'll talk about this in the ugly, but like, I don't know if I love the climax of the movie that much.
Okay.
I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
And in some ways it does work for me. But I felt like the big reveal was, oh my God, there's this giant monster.
Yeah.
How are we going to deal with it? And the way they deal with it is, I think, it's a pretty easy. It's an easy out.
Oh, well, to that respect, I agree. I think we could talk about the end, I guess, before, or maybe this could transition to the ugly.
I have a weird angle on the ugly that I'm curious to get your take on.
Okay.
And that's why I want Lisa to watch it also, because I want to talk to her about my
Nice,
ugly,
nice. So, Leah, with the end of the film, because I did remark before we got on air that I did like the end of the movie. And I think for me,
I really dug this film.
Me too. I don't want to say surprisingly because of all the other bullshit.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, and I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the ending, the thing that I responded to was the character moment and the resolution for Kristen Stewart's her character
Nora
Nora.
Price.
Yeah, I liked those character beats and her resolution to that, as opposed to like how they actually took out the giant monster. That seemed a bit convenient, with the bomb, with the drill. Maybe you would have something like that.
So they get to the Roebuck station. Yeah. There's 3 pods, only 2 are operational. Yeah. 1 is busted.
Yeah.
She elects to save John Gallagher Jr. and Jessica Henwick.
Yeah.
They put Gallagher Jr. in first. He goes up. Henwick notices that the pod is busted, and she's like, look, you have him. You have to go.
Have to go, yeah.
I don't have anybody. My lover is dead.
Yeah.
You got to go. You got to save yourself. And then she goes up, and then like in the last minute, she sees on the radar that the school of creatures are going up, and the big creature's coming to her, and she accelerates the core energy of the drill, self-destructs the Roebuck station, and the blast takes out everybody. But we also see that the pods she can tell that the pods are beyond the reach of what the explosion's going to be.
Yeah.
So they'll be okay.
Yeah. It kind of has like that Armageddon moment.
Convenient.
Yeah. But I like that. But again, I like the character moment between when Kristen Stewart realizes that the pod is busted and her trying to get. I didn't like the punch in the face. I think it could have did a better way to get her in the pod, but it is what it is. But I just like that character moment for her character, getting a little bit of her backstory and why she would sacrifice herself. So I liked a lot of that. I want to talk a little bit about the ending.
Well, let's get into the ugly.
Okay, so ugly. Brad, what do you got for us?
So I feel really weird about the ending.
Okay.
I don't know if I dislike it. I just wrote an article about it for Film School Rejects.
Okay, cool.
Hopefully it's published by the time you're listening to this. I do not know.
All right.
But early on in the movie, when Kristen Stewart finds Vincent Cassel's captain, and he has let all the pods in his station, the Kempler station, go escape, and he has stayed behind, and he's going down with the ship, and Kristen Stewart goes like, Captain, why are you going down with the ship? You have a daughter.
You have a daughter, yeah.
She needs you, and he brushes her off a little bit. And we learn when she goes to the midway point, which is an abandoned station, not the Roebuck station, but like a station that has been is no longer operational.
She finds his suit.
She finds his old locker there,
yeah.
And in that locker is a suit, and in that suit is a card from a memorial service where you learn that his daughter has died at age 14, and he's got nothing to live for. He has no loved ones, and so that's why he wanted to go down with the ship.
Because there was a scene where they mentioned, because Kristen Stewart, because he said my daughter was 14, he was like, no, your daughter is my age.
And so we learned that his daughter died when she was 14, so he is loveless.
Yeah.
Okay. We also learn over the course of the movie, like, one of the first things we see Kristen Stewart do after the explosion is she holds onto this. We don't even know what it is. There's a necklace, and she's holding onto the necklace. And throughout the movie, she pushes her chest where the necklace is. And we learn that necklace is actually a ring that belonged to her dead lover.
Yeah.
And that she is also, like the captain, loveless.
Yeah.
And she has nobody.
Yeah.
And so when she learns that Henwick and Gallagher Jr. that Henwick likes John Gallagher Jr. more than a friend, even though they haven't consummated their relationship in any way. They haven't even gone out on a date or anything.
Okay, I was a bit confused about that.
When she realizes that they're a possible couple, she goes, well, you two have to survive and make it work because you two have each other. I have no one, so I'm going to go down with the ship.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kill I'm going to commit suicide.
Yeah.
So that the two lovebirds win. What does that mean? Like, what is the messaging of that? If you don't have somebody, if you're single, you're not as worthy as the person who has a person. You know, obviously Lisa and I are married, and so I'd work out well in this situation. Kristen Stewart would save me. But like, it's so Hallmark Channel to me. It's so like apple pie America values. She's going like, my life, I want to go to the beyond and be with my lover in the beyond.
Yeah. And
you guys are going to go hopefully get, 2.5 children in a white picket fence.
Yeah.
And I just find that kind of like gross.
Really?
Like the messaging of it's weird to me.
Okay.
Because it seems like it's throwing a judgment on, it's saying that the ultimate goal in life is to couple up, which I guess it is to reproduce and keep the species going. But I just find it, I don't know. I don't know if I like it.
Okay. I honestly, I didn't think of it in that angle because I could definitely see where you're coming from, where it does feel kind of Hallmark Channel-ish. I guess looking at it from the perspective of Kristen Stewart's character is that I guess she was trying to... She knew that these two people had some type of affection for each other, and she didn't want...
Barely.
Well, see, and that's the thing is, I didn't get that from the story. It feels like we're getting, like you say, we don't get an exposition dump at the beginning of the film, so we're learning about these characters as they're going through this journey.
Well, the bit of exposition on their relationship that you get is when Kristen Stewart comes back from the midway point and reunites with Henwick, who is dragging the unconscious body of Gallagher Jr. across the ocean floor. You could hear Henwick talking to Gallagher saying, like, I love you, and I just wanted you to know before we're done.
Okay. Yeah, see, a lot of that stuff, like a lot of that dialogue was just hard for me to it was hard for me to discern and hear, and especially, like, even when they're dragging Gallagher and Jessica Henwick and Kristen Stewart are talking, and we get to learn a little bit about more of Kristen Stewart's characters, her backstory. Like that was a little. I could barely hear like when she's talking about her fiance and how he died and stuff like that. Like all that stuff is like this is important information that leads into the climax of the film. But I couldn't even understand a lot of that stuff. So all this stuff just felt a little convoluted. And as far as the dynamic between their relationship, because I thought they were already a couple, but I wasn't sure.
Like it's weak.
Yeah.
It's a weak narrative to put on your ending where one of these people is going to have to stay back down with a bomb. One, this self-destruct core thing is so easily done and like built into the like
that's way too convenient.
Like click 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 click. I've turned my ship into a bomb and I'm going to rescue these people by killing myself.
Yeah.
Like it's not only convenient, it's just too simple.
Simple, yeah. I agree. That did seem a little bit too simple and convenient for me. I don't know. I didn't think about it from that angle, but that's interesting. I definitely could see how that could be problematic. But I don't know, man. I think overall, this was an enjoyable time, man.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was surprised.
It is worthy of Deep Star 6 and Leviathan.
There you go.
Did you have any uglies that you were thinking about?
No, I would probably just go to maybe some of the deaths that we saw. Like, just surprisingly. I knew that a lot of these people were going to get capped off as the movie progressed, but in some of the ways, like the first one when Mamadou Athie, when they open that door and and his helmet starts to crack, and then the pressure comes and he just implodes. Whoo! I was like, whoa!
You can't have an underwater movie without somebody imploding.
I was like, Jesus. Good Lord, that was and then like T.J. Miller, like getting pulled through his and.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that was gross. That was good.
Man, yeah, that was some ugly shit. But that would probably be the most that I would have. But I think it's a worthy time at the theater.
Yeah. If you like monster movies, you should not miss out.
Yeah, man. Like, I don't know. I'm digging, like, I'm not the biggest horror fan, but I dig creature features, man.
Yeah.
Like, I know you weren't a big fan of it, but I love Crawl that came out last year.
Oh, yeah. I like Crawl.
Oh, Crawl. No, the crocodile, alligator crocodile.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind watching it again.
Yeah, but it's like stuff like that, man. Like, I like creature features like that. Those are cool little films I kind of respond to. So this I would put in that category. So definitely check this out if you're into that type of fare. I guess we will get ready to sign off. Did you want to bring Lisa back out here?
Yeah, Lisa. Let's go. Lisa!
What? I'm here.
Oh, where'd you come from?
Just appeared. The magic of podcasting. All right, guys. So we are going to close out this episode. And as you guys know, when I host, I like to close out with some what do you call it? Advertise?
Plugs.
Some plugs. Thank you, Lisa. I could not find the word plugs. Man, goodness.
They're advertisements.
Advertisements, advertisements, as my mother
Have
says.
you tried
That's
Popeye's
cute. Your mother's
chicken?
sweet.
Yeah.
Popeye's chicken is delicious.
It's delicious. Oh man, sponsors? Can we get them as a sponsor?
You know that of all of the enslaved animals, the chickens are the saddest. They take off their beaks.
Oh God.
They do so they don't pull out all of their own feathers and
Tell them
each
about the
other's
fecal
eyes.
soup, Lisa. Tell them about the fecal soup. No, don't tell them about
The
the
way
fecal
they
soup.
keep chicken at temperature in America is disgusting.
Okay.
It involves fecal soup.
We'll leave it at that. All right. So, comic book couples counseling. What do you guys have on deck for your podcast?
Right now, we have just dropped episode 37, which was the first episode of the new year, and our first episode focusing on the romantic relationship between Gambit and Rogue of the Uncanny X-Men.
Okay.
And it is without a doubt the most popular episode so far, at least. I don't know about the long-term game, but in the short-term game, more people have downloaded this episode in 2 days than any other episode we've had in the past.
Wow.
Those 90s X-Men fans are passionate.
They are passionate.
And nobody said anything too scathing. So
Okay.
Everybody seems to like what we're doing.
That's awesome.
I loved that episode. We'll do one more episode before we leave for Sundance. We're going to the Sundance Film Festival. And then while we're in Utah, we're going to do a couple mini episodes where we focus on a couple key single issues from Rogue and Gambit's relationship.
And of course, we'll also be doing a lot of It Mod.
A lot of It Mod.
You're going to get a lot of the
Sundance stuff.
Gullicksons.
Nice.
You can't
So
escape us.
yeah, so look out for that. That is CBCC on Twitter and
At CBCC Podcast.
at CBCC Podcast. Thank you, Lisa. Yeah, so definitely check that out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere podcasts are found. And you guys did mention that you guys are going to Sundance.
Oh, yeah.
Not
So,
next week, but the week after
the
that.
week after. Looking forward. This is your second year in a row. So
Yep.
is there anything lined up already as far as interviews? Or are you
Brian,
still
why
kind
are you
of...
stressing us out?
Oh, man, I'm
Why are you stressing us out?
One
so
of our
sorry.
major contacts is not Ted Gagan. We're looking at you. Is not at Sundance this year. But
Oh,
we're
okay.
gonna
We don't
make
have
it work.
anything secure right
Okay,
now.
okay.
I'm just going to put this out in the universe.
All right.
But these are the people that I have submitted requests for, Brian.
So
Are
these
you
may or
ready?
may not be on the pod.
Are you
Okay.
ready?
All right, hit me.
Jude Law,
Oh, I love it.
Will Ferrell,
Keep going.
Julie Louis-Dreyfus,
I like it.
Richard Jenkins.
Nice.
I think that's it. I think that's it right now.
Okay.
Oh, Ethan Hawke. So, like, we've put that out into the universe.
Going for the big boys.
We'll see what happens. Dee Rees.
Oh man, love her.
Allison Brie. Like,
Okay.
We're casting casting our net wide, but our net has enormous big holes in it.
Hey, man.
So we'll see.
Go big or go home, man. Go big or go home. I love it.
We're okay with also going home. Then that means we went all the way to Sundance and had a great time.
At the very least, we're going to watch a bunch of really cool movies.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So let's go ahead and plug Billy's podcast, Bill and Claire's Excellent Adventure.
If you guys have not been listening to their Universal Monsters, I think they're just finished
They just finished
out.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a delight.
Yeah,
A
definitely.
real treat.
Definitely check that out. I think the latest episode, I'm up here on the inthemouthofdarkness.com. Go to that website where you can find, it's a one-stop shop. Everything we have. Their latest episode was Creature from the Black Lagoon that was uploaded on January 7th.
The sexiest of all the Universal Monsters. I like a fish man. I don't know if you know that about me.
Well,
Yeah.
you're going to like
water.
Underwater.
Oh, really?
Oh, nice. Yeah, you will. You will.
They are slippery and wet.
Ooh, that's how I like them.
And Brad, what do we have for Chatcast?
So the InMod Chatcast, we are about to drop episode 50.
Oh, the 50th.
The 50th episode with Jesse and Leonard Maltin.
Oh,
It's finally here.
Nice.
Last week we dropped episode 49, which was our Matthew. I almost said Matthew McConaughey.
That'll be episode 100.
That
There
we're hoping. Which was our Matthew Modine episode, which was also a tremendous conversation.
That one was wild.
And then we have Justin Long is going to be on the
Okay.
podcast the week after, talking about The Wave. And then after that, we are going to have Jack Henry Robbins and his father, Tim Robbins.
I can't believe we've been sitting on this episode. It is so weird.
Yeah,
It
both
seems
The
like,
Wave and VHS, which were Fantastic Fest favorites, are now hitting VOD and select theaters in January.
Treat yourself.
So treat yourself. Watch those movies.
Self.
I know, Brian, you liked VHS quite a bit.
I did, actually did. I'll be curious to rewatch it away from like the festival circuit to
Yep.
see how I feel about it again. But that theater experience, man, VHS was such a funny experience watching that.
Yeah. So, subscribe to the ItMod Chatcast channel, all one word. The ItMod Chatcast channel. It's a long title. We shouldn't have called it that, but that's what I did. Yes.
Yeah, and so this episode drops. This is Monday, so this coming weekend, Sunday, we have our Still Awesome.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I'm a
Yes.
Lee.
Get your tickets now.
So, and I feel so bad because, Brad, you've been doing a lot of the heavy lifting as far as promoting this, and I feel terrible because Amelie is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's
You're
I
doing this
terrible.
intro, right? You got to.
I know. I need to figure out how I want to do it. If you
we
all
can
stand
partner.
there with
We can
me,
partner.
stand there with me. Thank you, guys. I'm still nervous in front of crowds, but anyway,
so good though.
thank you. But yeah, I love this movie. So talk a little bit about that and how are sales doing? We're doing pretty good, I
They're
think.
doing solid. It's on the 19th. It's at 7:30. If you go to the Alamo Drafthouse at 4:30, the film club screening is Bong Joon-ho's Parasite.
If you have not seen that yet, that's an amazing movie. Don't talk to anybody about it.
It just won the Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film. It'll
Yes.
certainly win the Best Foreign Language Film at the Oscars. It should win Best Picture in my mind.
There you go.
Bong Joon-ho, he's been on the ItMod Chatcast channel. You should subscribe. You should listen to that episode. It's a really good 15-minute interview.
There you go.
Hey, 15 minutes with Bong Joon-ho. He's a genius.
Hey.
Worth it. So Parasite, Amelie double feature at the Alamo Drafthouse Winchester.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
I'm
you got to do it.
so looking forward to that. So I'm excited. I'm excited for that this upcoming weekend to see. I don't think I've ever seen this movie on. Oh my God, I'm actually getting really excited.
Yay!
I'm getting really excited. I love this movie. Absolutely love this
And
movie.
I also want to promote another screening at the Alamo Drafthouse in Ashburn.
Okay.
Their film club this Wednesday, the 15th. I'm hosting a screening of Star Trek First Contact.
Oh.
I'm very excited about that as well.
Okay.
And I know you won't be there, Brian, nor will Darren,
Oh, yeah.
nor will Lisa. Because
I
you're
got a
all
job.
going. Well, Lisa's working.
Okay.
She's paying for me to live. and Darren and Brian, they've got to do the Alamo Woodbridge screening
Yes.
of all three Bad Boys films.
I've been clamoring. I've been asking for this. Yes, and I didn't think it was ever going to happen. But thank you, Alamo. I am indebted to you for giving me the Bad Boys trilogy on the big screen. I cannot wait for Wednesday.
And we should also note that in February, you can join us again at the Alamo Drafthouse on the 10th we are going to launch our new series,
Yes.
the ItMod Chat Clubs, where we gather film club members to come onto the podcast and talk about key films that the Alamo Winchester Film Club have been screening.
Okay.
So they're going to be talking about Ip Man. We're going to be talking about Amelie. We're going to be talking about Parasite. We're going to be talking about The Wave.
Nice.
Yeah. Come on out to the Alamo Draft House on February 10th and join us for the ItMod Chat Club live. I was going to say live event, but the in-person recording. What do you call that when it's not live, but you can join in on the
You can look at our faces.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's not a live event, but I guess my brain is going.
It's a in-person.
You're alive. We're talking to microphones. You can listen to it later.
There you go. There you go.
Those episodes will be on the ItMod Chatcast channel.
Okay, the Chatcast channel.
Chat Club episodes.
Nice.
Excited about that. We can't announce what the Still Awesome February screening is yet.
Okay.
Because we're still working out some kinks. I can tell you that it's not Virtuosity, and that's a bummer.
It's got
Oh,
kinks
that's
in it?
right. It's
Yeah.
supposed
I hope
to
it's
be.
Secretary.
Yeah.
It's not going to be Virtuosity. It's not going to be Ricochet. But it will be a really cool Denzel Washington film.
All right.
Very excited about that. And then in March, dude, we've got a mega screening coming up in March.
I hope so.
It's got to happen.
I hope so,
It's
man.
got to happen.
I hope so.
Yeah, so March 29th. Mark your calendars. You do not want to miss this screening.
Man, oh my God. That literally would be, 30 years? Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Nobody do that math.
Nobody do that math.
35 years in 6 months.
So hopefully that goes down.
All right, we got a lot of great stuff on the horizon. So, Lisa, where can the good folks, what are you looking forward to this upcoming week?
I still have some episodes of Zumbo's Just Desserts.
Okay.
Is Simon going to win? He's our favorite.
All right.
I do want to see Just Mercy, so hopefully I can catch that in the theaters. I do want to see Bad Boys for Life, though I'm going to be sad. Well, first, I should probably watch Bad Boys
1 and 2.
1 and 2.
I've got them right here, Lisa.
Okay, good. I should probably watch those first. And then Doolittle?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Straight up, no fucks given.
Yeah.
I am not going to see it.
I liked that movie as a kid with Rex Harrison.
Never seen it. Not going to see this
Brad
one.
didn't really have a childhood, though. I watched movies as a child.
I was
unlike
watching
some people.
Silence of the Lambs. I had a great childhood.
Yeah.
Hey, there you go. So you can find her at the Sidewalk Siren and at Baked Dork on Twitter and on Letterboxd at Sidewalk Siren. Mr. Gullickson.
Yes.
What are you looking forward to this week?
Dude, I didn't mention this in my Week in Dork. One of the things I did this week was talk to an amazing cinematographer.
Okay.
I talked to the man who shot Uncut Gems, Darius Kanji.
Oh, okay.
Also shot Seven.
Oh, wow.
So, a master craftsman. We spoke for 30 minutes.
Nice. Okay.
It was just me and him, no publicist on the line. It was very casual, very cool chat. We talked about why they shot Uncut Gems in both 35 millimeter and digital for a certain sequence, and how they went about blending the two so it didn't look like that was the case.
Yeah.
Very interesting conversation.
Okay.
A pinch myself moment, just very, very surreal.
Wait, didn't you just put up on social media that you had an interview? Who was the actor
Walton Goggins.
Okay, yeah.
Yes,
that
I
he
did.
was apologetic about them trying to rush.
I only had 12 minutes and I was cut off.
Yeah.
And I had less than I was even supposed to get. And he apologized. He's like, "Yay, brother, don't worry about this. It's going to be like, why don't we get together again? Give me a call. Talk to my manager."
That's so cool.
And I was like, yeah. Can I have a phone number for Walton Goggins? No. Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was very surreal also because Walton Goggins is one of my favorite actors right now.
Yeah, man.
Justified's one of my all-time favorite TV shows. His performance in The Hateful Eight is sublime.
That's awesome.
And he was a super, super nice guy that made me feel like we were actually friends in that 12 minutes of speaking to each other.
There you go. That's all you can ask for.
But Darius was like, that was unbelievable. That's a really cool conversation. I hope I can turn that into a good article. I haven't written it yet.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to do that tomorrow morning after my CT scan.
Oh, it'll go good, bro. Don't worry.
Oscar nominations, Lupita Nyong'o.
Yes.
If you are not there, I will be pissed.
It's gonna be hard, but I'm rooting for her.
And I'm also hoping Parasite gets a Best Picture nom.
Yeah, man, that Okay, I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
You know, I love the Oscars. I know they're bullshit, but I love them.
Dude, me and you on the same wavelength, man. I'm right there with you. So yeah, that guy is Brad Gullickson. You can find him at Mouth Dork on all social medias. I am the Turtle Dork. You can find me at Brian William Young on Facebook, at the Turtle Dork on Twitter, at the Turtle Dork 1 on Instagram, and it goes without saying. You guys know what I'm looking forward to. I'm a little bit nervous because I know it's not going to live up to 1 and 2, but this is Bad Boys. This is my nostalgia. I've been waiting for this for so long, and regardless of how this turns out, good or bad, I'm just happy to see Martin Lawrence and Will Smith together again.
I hope it gains a little conversation because I want it. I want another Bad Boys.
Yeah.
I already want 4.
Yeah. I mean, look, I've been wanting this. I just wanted them to complete the trilogy. So I'm good with just this movie, whether good or bad. But if they do decide to do another one, hey, I'm not gonna be against that. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one.
And we should tell our listeners, just because we are doing advertisements right now, we gotta send some love to Brian at the ItMod Cast YouTube page.
He's killing it.
While you were not on last week's Fistful of Anticipation, you did do your own top 10 anticipation video.
Yeah.
Where your choices weren't all just Bad Boys.
No, actually, let me run that. I'm just going to run that real quick, my top 5, because, Darren did a great job. He's not wrong, but there are other movies I'm looking forward to. So my 5 is Soul. I'm looking forward to that. 4 is Fast and Furious 9. More curious than anything. 3 is Godzilla versus Kong. I love King of the Monsters. So looking forward to that next installment. 2nd is A Quiet Place 2. That might be one of my favorite movies of the decade. Oh. Wait and stay tuned for that. Me and Mouth Dog are going to break down those movies. And, of course, Bad Boys for Life. So those are my official top 5s, most anticipated. But thank you, Darren, because you weren't wrong. So that's going to do it for us. So great episode. Thanks, guys. Because we all were kind of a little down walking in here, and I don't know, got a little more pep in my step.
Oh, good. So do I, Brian.
All right, so that's going to do it for us, and until next time.